Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I've got some fascinating stories to share with you from the AITA subreddit. If you enjoy content like this, make sure to like and subscribe. So shall we get started? Story 1. Am I the asshole for not letting my partner join my dream vacation? I've been dreaming about this vacation since I was a kid, curled up in my room with a book series that got me through some tough times. I'm 30 now, and with my own money, I finally planned the perfect trip to visit the filming locations of my favorite movie and book series. Every detail is set, where I'm staying, what I'm seeing, down to the minute. This isn't just a trip, it's a pilgrimage to honor the stories that saved me when my home life was rough. I've waited years for this, and I'm not budging an inch on my itinerary. My partner, also 30, is a great guy. I love him, and he's been nothing but supportive. He wants to come along, even offering to pay for anything extra he'd want to do. The problem? He's not into this series at all. He'd rather visit national parks or do other touristy stuff, which sounds nice but would completely derail my carefully planned schedule. I told him if he comes, he's on his own for those side trips because I'm sticking to my plan. Every day is packed, and I'd regret missing even one moment of this dream. He got upset, saying it defeats the purpose of us traveling together. He wants to spend time with me, not follow me around to places he doesn't care about. He's also worried about me traveling alone as a woman, especially with a 4-hour time difference if something goes wrong. He mentioned things like a rental car breaking down or me needing help, knowing I deal with anxiety. His concerns are sweet, and I get it. He's trying to look out for me. But this trip isn't about us as a couple. It's about me reconnecting with something deeply personal. I tried explaining it by comparing it to him wanting to visit New Zealand for Lord of the Rings locations. If I tagged along and insisted on non-low-tar activities, it'd mess up his experience. I even told him I'd prefer to go alone because I want to be with someone who loves this series as much as I do, aka me. That hurt his feelings. He thinks I'm being too rigid and not seeing the bigger picture of our relationship. I felt bad, but I held firm. This is my one shot to do this exactly how I envisioned it. After some back and forth, we talked it out. He admitted his worry wasn't just about my safety, but also his own anxiety. He had a traumatic childhood and lost a family member in a drunk driving accident, so he panics about me being far away and unreachable. I hadn't realized how much that weighed on him. He also mentioned he's burned out at his job at the VA and doesn't get much stress-free time with me because of his limited PTO. We compromised. He's not coming, but I'll share my itinerary, stay in touch, and keep AA's info handy for emergencies. That eased his mind. We're also planning a chill Christmas getaway together, just to vibe. He asked for tons of pictures and a silly sticker of a bedazzled egg with a character's face that says tit soak because it cracks him up. I laughed and promised I'd get it for him. In the end, I think I made the right call for me, but I wonder if I was too harsh in shutting him out. This trip is my heart, but he's my heart too, and I don't want him to feel like he doesn't matter. It's tough balancing something so personal with someone you love. I'm curious what you all think about this one. Am I the asshole for insisting on doing this trip my way? Story 2. Am I the asshole for telling my neighbor his solution wasn't good enough? Living out in the country, I've got my little slice of paradise, chickens clucking, hunting dogs bounding around, and a small garden with pumpkins, cucumbers, and tomatoes I've poured my heart into. I'm no master gardener, so seeing those plants bloom feels like a small miracle. My neighbor, though, is a whole different story. He's got sheep, dogs he barely looks after, and pigs that seem to think my yard is their personal buffet. He used to have horses too, until animal control stepped in after someone reported his malnourished animals. I didn't make that call, but I've had my own issues with his livestock. His pigs have been escaping for a while now. The first few times they wandered onto my property, and I'd call him to come get them. He'd show up eventually and herd them back. Lately though, it's been almost daily. I'd let him know when I saw them out, even if they weren't on my land, just to be neighborly. But then came Friday. I woke up to find his pigs had demolished every single one of my bloomed pumpkins and were sniffing around my dog pens, freaking out my dogs. I was pissed but tried to stay calm since I still had some pumpkins almost ready to bloom. We called him and he said he'd taken care of it. Problem solved, right? Wrong. Saturday the pigs were out again, though they stayed on his property. I didn't bother calling, figuring it wasn't my problem. But Sunday morning, I walked outside to a nightmare. Those pigs had torn through my garden like a tornado. Every cucumber and tomato plant was eaten to the roots, and my remaining pumpkins were reduced to a few sad leaves. No bulbs, no nothing. They were back at my dog pens too, and my dogs were losing it, trying to break out. I was livid, beyond livid. We managed to shoo the pigs off and called my neighbor. He promised to show up in an hour, but didn't roll in until 3 hours later, trying to waltz onto my property unannounced while we were out grabbing food. When we finally talked 6 hours after the chaos, his big solution was to offer me a new pumpkin plant. A pumpkin plant! It's not even planting season, and there's no way it'd produce anything this year. I'm no green thumb. Those plants were a fluke, and he knew it. I told him flat out that his offer wasn't good enough. This wasn't just about pumpkins, it was about the disrespect, the repeated invasions, and the fact that I'd lost something I'd worked hard for. I gave him options: help pay for or build a proper fence to keep his animals contained, or get rid of them since he's admitted he can't afford their damages. He's not the only neighbor fed up. Others have had issues too. He refused both options, acting like I was being unreasonable. I even got a tip from animal control not to call him anymore, and that if the pigs disappeared, well, that's that. I'm not saying I'd go that far, but I'm at my wit's end. I can't babysit his animals or stay home 24/7 to guard my garden. My dogs are stressed, my plants are gone, and he thinks a single pumpkin plant makes it right? I don't think so. I feel like I was fair in calling him out, but maybe I came on too strong. What do you think? Am I the asshole for telling him his resolution wasn't acceptable? Story 3. Am I the asshole for moving into university housing without my parents' approval? I'm a 20-year-old Arab girl studying medicine in a foreign language, which is no small feat. I live with my parents and 4 brothers, ages 10, 13, 17, and 23, in a cramped house where we all share one room. Yes, one room. My bed, my study desk, and all their noise and chaos are packed into the same space. There's no privacy, no quiet, just constant chatter, play, and movement. It's like trying to focus in the middle of a playground. This setup is normal in my culture: big families, shared spaces, no one batting an eye. But for me, it's a nightmare that's killing my ability to study. I'm pursuing a demanding degree, and the lack of space is crushing me. I've begged for small changes, like keeping the door closed while I study, but my dad refused. He even took the door off completely, leaving me with 0 boundaries. My mom backs him up, telling me to adapt like my brothers do. They think wanting my own space is some Western idea that doesn't fit our values. I get it. Our culture prioritizes family togetherness, and many people live like this without complaint. But I've seen how other cultures give kids room to thrive, and I'm drowning here. My concentration is shot, my stress is through the roof, and I feel like I'm sacrificing my mental health and my future just to meet their expectations. I've tried talking to them, explaining how hard it is to study with no quiet or privacy, but they shut me down. To them, moving out is unthinkable, almost rebellious. They see university housing as a betrayal of our family's way of life. But I can't keep going like this. My grades are slipping, and the pressure of medical school is intense enough without fighting for a corner to think in. I reached a breaking point and decided to move into university housing, even if it means going behind their backs. Where I live, moving out without parental permission might not be entirely legal for someone my age, but I'm willing to take the risk. I need this to survive my studies and protect my sanity. The decision wasn't easy. I love my family, and I know they're doing what they think is right, but their version of right is suffocating me. I've saved up enough to cover the housing costs, and I've checked that the dorms are safe and close to campus. It's not about rejecting my culture. It's about giving myself a chance to succeed. Still, I feel guilty. I know my parents will be hurt, maybe even furious when they find out. They'll see it as me choosing Western values over them. My brothers might feel abandoned too, since I help with the younger ones. But I can't keep setting myself on fire to keep everyone else warm. I haven't told them yet. I'm planning to move out quietly and deal with the fallout later. Part of me wonders if I'm being selfish, if I should just suck it up like everyone else in our community seems to. But another part of me knows I'll fail medical school if I don't make this change. It's not just about comfort, it's about my future as a doctor. I want to make my family proud, but I can't do that if I'm barely holding it together. So I'm taking this leap, even if it means breaking their rules. Am I the asshole for deciding to move out without their approval? Story 4. Am I the asshole for exposing my cousin's lifestyle to my grandparents? I'm a hard-working person, juggling back-to-back shifts to make ends meet while living with my parents. A few years ago, my cousin, who's a bit older, moved in with us to attend a school nearby. I wasn't thrilled about it, we've never really clicked, but my parents made it clear I didn't have a say. She settled into our guest room, and I quickly noticed our lifestyles were worlds apart. I'd come home exhausted at 9 p.m., cooking dinner to save money, while she'd been lounging all day, scrolling on her phone or out partying. Then she'd ask for some of my food, which grated on me. She was home all day, couldn't she cook for herself? What really got under my skin was her lavish lifestyle. She'd brag about dining at fancy restaurants, places I couldn't afford, sometimes 3 or 4 times a week. She'd rub it in my face, knowing I was scraping by. I started wondering how she funded this, especially with student loans. Then I found out through a family member. My grandparents were sending her money. She'd been telling them she was starving or needed cash for school and basic expenses. It was all lies. She was living it up while painting herself as desperate. This hit me hard. My grandparents aren't rich. I once overheard my grandpa couldn't afford a cream for an injury, and it broke my heart. I never asked them for help, knowing they didn't have much to give. Yet here was my cousin, milking their generosity for nights out and expensive meals. It felt like a betrayal, not just of them, but of our whole family. I stewed on it for months, watching her post Instagram stories of her fancy dinners and parties. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I collected screenshots of her posts, proof of her spending sprees, and showed them to my grandparents. I wanted them to see where their money was really going. When they saw the evidence, they were crushed but not surprised. They cut off most of the money they were sending her, keeping it to a bare minimum. My cousin lost it. She called me fake, said I betrayed her, and made a huge scene. She acted like I'd ruined her life, but I didn't feel guilty. She was taking advantage of our grandparents' kindness, and I couldn't stand by and watch. Still, her reaction made me second-guess myself. Was I too harsh? Should I have talked to her first instead of going straight to them? Looking back, I think about how hard my grandparents worked for what little they have. My cousin knew that and still lied to fund her lifestyle. I wasn't trying to hurt her, I just wanted to protect them. But maybe I could have handled it differently, like confronting her privately to give her a chance to come clean. Instead, I went for the nuclear option, and now there's tension in the family. Some relatives think I was right to expose her, but others say I should have kept it between us. I stand by my choice, but I wonder if I crossed a line. It's messy when family and money get tangled up like this. I keep asking myself if I did the right thing or if I let my frustration cloud my judgment. It's tough when you're trying to do right by the people you love, but it ends up hurting someone else in the process. What do you all think about this one? Am I the asshole for exposing my cousin's lifestyle to my grandparents? Story 5. Am I the asshole for not telling my husband's family I speak their language? I'm a 27-year-old Canadian, married to Peter, a 29-year-old from Germany. We've been married 3 years, have a young son, and I was pregnant with our second child when we decided to move from Canada to Hanover, Germany, due to rising costs back home. We bought a house there near Peter's family, whom I'd only met once before at our wedding. The day after we arrived, we visited them, and they were warm, fussing over our son and welcoming us into their home. Over the next few months, we saw them often, but I started noticing something off. They'd speak in German about me, assuming I couldn't understand. Their comments were harsh, criticizing my hair, makeup, fashion, even my pregnant belly, which I was already self-conscious about. It stung, especially since I was trying to fit into a new country and culture. I learned German years ago and am fluent, but I never told Peter's family. It didn't seem necessary at first, and honestly I liked observing without being expected to chime in. After hearing their remarks, I told Peter how much it hurt to be judged like that. He promised to talk to them, and for a few months the comments stopped. I thought we'd turned a corner. Then I gave birth to our daughter, Lilith, a name that's a tradition in my family. My middle name, my mom's, my grandma's, all the way back. We didn't choose it for its meaning, ghost or of the night, but for its heritage. Peter's family, though, hated it. They didn't say it to my face, but I overheard their complaints in German, questioning my choice and calling the name weird. I avoided them for a while, partly because of their reaction, and partly because I was struggling with postpartum depression. But we had to visit for my mother-in-law's birthday. It was overwhelming from the start. Everyone wanted to hold Lilith, which made my mother-in-law jealous for attention and stressed me out. I was still raw from childbirth and didn't want anyone holding her yet. I let them look, but said no to passing her around. During dinner, I overheard my sister-in-law complaining to my mother-in-law in German about not getting to hold Lilith. Then she called me a fat, ugly hokey addict. That was it. I'd had enough of their secret jabs. I turned to them and, in fluent German, laid it all out. I said I'd always understood their comments, but calling me names was the final straw. I revealed I'd known German my whole life. The table erupted, people yelling, blaming me for tricking them. Peter and I left with the kids and haven't spoken to them since. I don't regret standing up for myself, but I wonder if I should have told them sooner about my language skills. Maybe that would have stopped their comments earlier, or maybe it would have made things worse. I didn't mean to cause a scene, but hearing them insult me while I was already vulnerable pushed me over the edge. Peter supports me, but I know he's caught in the middle. I feel justified, but their reaction makes me question if I handled it wrong. Was I too dramatic, or did they deserve to be called out? It's tough navigating family dynamics in a new country, especially when you're already feeling like an outsider. Am I the asshole for not telling my husband's family I speak German? Story 6. Am I the asshole for snapping at my pregnant sister-in-law about my name change? I'm 17, and last year I legally changed my first name from Evelyn to Indy, a nickname based on my original middle name. My parents weren't thrilled, but they saw how serious I was about it. Evelyn just never felt like me. It sounded too old-fashioned, like it belonged to someone's great aunt. Indy fits who I am, and I love it. My brother, 30, and his wife, Haley, 29, are expecting their first baby. They're set on picking an older, vintage name for their kid, which is fine by me. But 5 months ago, Haley started asking why I hated Evelyn enough to change it. She mentioned how popular it's become and how vintage names are back in style. I told her I just don't like old-fashioned names. They feel stuffy to me. Popularity didn't factor in. It was about how the name made me feel. She seemed curious but kept pushing, asking why I preferred Indy and what was wrong with older names. I didn't mind answering at first. A week later, she brought it up again, pressing harder for details. Then a third time, a fourth, and by the 7th, I was over it. I asked why she kept asking. My answer wasn't changing. She admitted she was worried her baby might hate their vintage name and wanted to avoid what happened with me. She also said she thought Evelyn was beautiful and was sad I'd picked Indy instead. I asked her to drop it, even got my brother to talk to her, but he brushed it off as her pregnancy hormones. By now, she's asked me over 25 times, no exaggeration. It was relentless, like she was trying to crack a code I didn't have. 2 weeks ago, she started again, saying I'd made a mistake changing my name and that 30-year-old me might regret ditching Evelyn. I told her if that happens, I'll deal with it, but I love Indy now. She argued Indy was a young person's name and not mature enough for later in life. I was getting annoyed but kept my cool. Then yesterday, with her baby due any day, she pushed again, asking me to really think about why I changed my name to help her figure out how to parent differently than my parents did. She even said they shouldn't have let me change it so young. That was my breaking point. I snapped. I told her to stop asking the same damn question because my answer wasn't changing. Her comments weren't going to make me second-guess myself. I said I think vintage names are awful, just like she hates Indy, and I'm sick of her trying to force me to justify my choice in a way she finds acceptable. I told her I hate Evelyn and she needs to let it go already, throwing in a fucking for emphasis. She burst into tears and my brother got furious, saying I was too harsh. My parents also thought I could have been gentler, especially since she's pregnant. I feel bad for making her cry. She's emotional, and I get that pregnancy is intense. But after months of her badgering me, I was done. I tried being patient, asking her to stop, even involving my brother. But nothing worked. I wasn't trying to hurt her, just make her back off. Now I'm wondering if I went too far or if she pushed me to that point. It's tricky when family won't respect your boundaries, especially when they're about something as personal as your name. Am I the asshole for snapping at Haley about my name change? Thanks so much for listening until the end. If you enjoyed these AITA stories, please like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what's next. Which story surprised you the most? Drop a comment below and let me know. See you soon.